The New England Patriots just did exactly what everybody feared coming into this NFL offseason. Not only did they get better throughout free agency, but also in this year's NFL draft, I thought they had the best NFL draft you could possibly have. Adding a left tackle for Drake May and Will Campbell, adding another wide receiver weapon in Kyle Williams, drafting a day one starting running back alongside Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. You add a center in Jared Wilson for the future, and then from there you get really good depth guys in Joshua Farmer, Craig Woodson, who's already making an impact in OTAs, and then you get Braden Swinson. I mean, this team got so much better. And in this video, what I wanted to do is kind of break down everything we saw from OTAs and rookie minicamp and show you why the NFL is actually terrified that this Patriots team is going to once again be in the mix to not only make the playoffs, but potentially even win the division. Now, the offensive line to start OTAs was exactly what we thought it would be. Will Campbell at left tackle, Cole Strange at left guard, Garrett Bradbury at center, Mike Onwenu at right guard, and then Morgan Moses at right tackle. Now, the thing that has been such a sigh of relief, at least for this offensive line thus far, is the mentorship of Morgan Moses, right? The leadership, the veteran capabilities that he has are really starting to stand out at practice. And over the first couple of days, we saw Morgan Moses and Will Campbell stay after practice for a good 20-30 minutes and just continue to work on the little things, the details, the fundamentals. And again, when you add a player like that in free agency, you might not be the youngest guy in the world, but adds a ton of versatility in the sense of just adding mentorship and a guy that can help younger guys develop. When you have Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace, and you need a Morgan Moses on your football team. And I thought Mike Rabel and the front office did an unbelievable job getting him into the building, and now we're starting to see some development from some of the younger guys. So that is huge. I thought the offensive line looked pretty good during the majority of these practices. But now let's talk a little bit about maybe the young running back here in Travion Henderson. Now, throughout the first couple of days of OTAs, there was one guy who really stood out among everybody else, and that was Travion Henderson. If you go follow all of the Patriots beat reporters on X or Twitter, you'll be able to see a very similar thing that I saw, right? A lot of reporters, including Mark Daniels and Doug Kyde, a lot of these guys were very excited about Travion Henderson's speed, and that is something that really matched up to the tape. Translating to the NFL is the speed that he has, also the catchability, right? The ability to kind of add versatility and unpredictability to this offense in the sense that he can catch balls out of the backfield. And I think Mike Rabel was very excited about who he could potentially be. And the Patriots haven't had such a receiving and speed threat out of the backfield since James White back in 2018. I mean, he led the offense in reception. So listen, now White wasn't as fast as Henderson was, but I'll tell you what, White was a really good and dynamic player for this team, which makes me believe that Henderson could be game-breaking for this Patriots offense next season. And if Ramondre can fix that fumbling problem, this team could be really good, especially running the football. Now, last year, Travion Henderson averaged 7.1 yards per carry. While defenses are really faster and, more adapted to contain speed, I do think that 7.1 yards shows that, maybe 4.5, maybe 4 yards per carry this next season for Travion Henderson isn't out of the realm of possibility. And then you look at a guy like Kyle Williams, who we're going to talk about in just a second. Before we break down Kyle Williams and what he has showcased throughout camp so far, make sure you guys do me a big favor. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Comment down below P2, but most importantly, make sure you guys are subscribed. It is free. It doesn't cost anything, and we got you guys covered throughout the entirety of this year's offseason. Everything you need to know, we got you guys covered, from OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, regular season, film analysis during the season. We got you guys covered, okay? Join the family if you haven't already done so, and let's dive back into some more of this week's practice. Now, obviously, Kyle Williams is another guy that we need to talk about. Someone who was very impressive during this OTA period. According to a lot of the beat reporters, Williams made his presence felt during practice and seemed involved in almost everything. Running routes outside the numbers, inside the numbers, was lining up in different spots. I think the The one thing that he really displayed, and as you see Kayshon Boutte getting some work in here, this Patriots team has a ton of depth at that wide receiver position. I guarantee you they're going to move one or two guys in this year's offseason, whether it be a Jalen Polk or, Kendrick Bourne or Kayshon Boutte. I think one of these guys could definitely get traded for some future value, because Kyle Williams came in and, man, there was a deep route he had, significant separation, caught a pass from Drake May, and the whole camp was like, whoa, put in awe for a second. Now, I believe that Kyle Williams has the potential to be a day one starter for this football team, and I feel like the entire Patriots organization right now has a lot of optimism around this year's wide receiver pick, alongside Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, right? I mean, the list goes on and on. And I think with a mentor like Diggs, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Kyle Williams could definitely be a really good player. And again, he showcased exactly why this team picked him in that beginning of the third round. He's going to be dynamic, and I cannot wait to see why. Now, I don't have the correct film for you guys here, but what I do know is there was another guy that really looked good, and the coaching staff was pleased with Craig Woodson. Now, when he was first drafted, I believe in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people were determining that this was going to be a big mistake for Mike Grable, and maybe just a little bit early. But again, he came out right away and made plays, right? When you look at Carlos A. Lopez, a guy who covers the Patriots, he said there was two guys that really stood out to me that were the most impressive by far: Will Campbell and Craig Woodson. Those are two guys that players and coaches and everyone were like, whoa, okay, who is this guy? So Craig Woodson is the guy that you need to keep in mind going forward. Made a couple of big-time plays during camp, and, has good potential, has a solid role to fill if he can prove that he can come in and play right away, right? The safety room struggled in 2024. Kyle Duggar had some injuries here and there. Jabril Peppers had some legal issues keeping him off the field at times. Then Marte Mapu was considered, maybe a cut project this year. We don't really know. Again, that's what some reporters are saying. But Woodson has an opportunity to step in and be a player for this team. Okay. Now, again, we don't have really film to showcase that, but overall, this was a really good practice, a really good couple of days of practice. Over the next few days, I believe on next Wednesday, they're going to get back into the lab, practice some more, and we're going to have even more news and notes of guys who are standing out. So thus far, this team is doing such a great job. And you look at the potential day one starters that weren't here last year. You can talk about Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins, Will Campbell. I'll throw in Kyle Williams, Garrett Bradbury, maybe Jared Wilson, Morgan Moses, right? Travion Henderson. And then defensively, Milton Williams, you got Tonga, you got Joshua Farmer, you got Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis, maybe Marcus Epps, you never really know. But overall, they've added like a solid, 11, 12 brand new starters. I mean, again, this team could be a lot different next year, and I'm excited to see how they are different. Hit the like button, subscribe, join the family, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.